When you open that can of wet food every morning, do you actually know what's happening inside your cat's body? Most owners think it's just a tastier meal, a little upgrade, something their cat enjoys more than the dry stuff. But what's really going on beneath the surface is something most people have never been told. And some of it might completely change the way you think about what's sitting in that bowl. Here's what actually starts happening from day one. 1. Their body finally gets what it was always missing. Have you ever noticed your cat barely touches their water bowl? You refill it, you move it around, you even try a fountain, and still nothing. Most owners assume their cat is just picky, but it's not that, it's ancient biology. Cats evolved as desert hunters. Their ancestors didn't drink from streams. They got almost everything they needed from the prey they caught. A mouse is roughly 70% water, a small bird similar. Their bodies were never designed to drink on the side because they never had to. That thirst drive is just quiet, almost off. Now here's where the problem begins. Dry kibble contains around 10% moisture. That's it. So every single day your cat eats it, their body is working with a fraction of the hydration it actually needs. Their kidneys are constantly filtering concentrated waste. Their urinary tract is under pressure it was never built to handle. And most of the time, you'd never know, because cats don't show discomfort the way dogs do. They just quietly cope. Wet food changes that. It sits between 75% and 80% moisture, almost identical to what their prey would contain. The moment you start feeding it daily, their hydration levels rise. Their kidneys get relief, their urine dilutes, and the risk of crystals, blockages, and urinary emergencies, one of the most common reasons cats end up in emergency vet visits, drops significantly. A study in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery confirmed that cats fed wet food produce more urine at a lower concentration, which is exactly what a healthy system looks like. Your cat won't suddenly start drinking more water to show you it's working, but something quiet shifts, and that shift makes everything else on this list possible. 2. Their weight does something you won't expect. Why do so many indoor cats end up overweight even when their owners are careful? Most people blame portion sizes, or laziness, or just bad luck. But the real answer is usually in the bag. Dry kibble is loaded with carbohydrates. Some formulas contain 40% or more, and cats, as obligate carnivores, have almost no biological machinery to process carbs efficiently. Their bodies weren't built for it, so what doesn't get burned gets stored. And it keeps building. Wet food flips that, it's higher in protein, lower in carbs, and that combination does something simple but powerful. Protein triggers a real fullness response. Your cat eats and actually feels done. Not just temporarily, done. A study from the Waltham Center for Pet Nutrition found that cats on wet food were more likely to maintain a lean body composition, even when eating freely, because the satiety signal was actually working. No obsessive measuring required. No guilt every time you fill the bowl. Just food that works the way your cat's body was designed to use it. And hey, if this is already changing how you think about your cat's meals, hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to help us reach more cat owners who want real answers, not just the most convenient ones. 3. Their coat starts telling a different story. You can tell a lot about what's happening inside a cat just by looking at their fur. Dull coat, excessive shedding, skin that feels dry or flaky no matter how much you brush. Most owners try supplements, special shampoos, different brushes, but the coat is just reflecting what's going on deeper, and what's going on deeper is usually nutrition. Wet food is naturally rich in animal-based proteins and fats, the exact building blocks that skin and fur depend on. Dry kibble, even the expensive kind, goes through intense heat processing that breaks down a significant portion of those nutrients before they ever reach your cat's system. So even when the label looks impressive, what actually gets absorbed tells a different story. Switch to daily wet food, and most owners notice the coat within weeks, not months, weeks. It gets softer, the shedding slows, that dull, dusty texture starts to disappear. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Science showed that cats on high-protein, moisture-rich diets showed measurable improvements in coat quality and skin health compared to those on dry alternatives. The body stops rationing. It starts putting nutrients exactly where they belong. 4. Their behavior around food shifts completely. Does your cat scream the moment you walk near the kitchen? Inhale their food like something's about to take it? Wake you up at 4 a.m. demanding a meal you know you already gave them? Most owners call this personality, but it's not. It's hunger. Real hunger. Not because you're underfeeding them, but because dry food doesn't send the right signals to their brain. Kibble digests fast. The high carb content spikes and drops, and within a few hours their body is telling them they're empty again. So they pace, they yell, they stare at you with that look, because from their perspective, they genuinely never feel finished. Wet food breaks that cycle. The protein triggers proper satiety. The moisture adds physical volume that stretches the stomach enough to actually activate those "I'm done" signals. A study in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that cats on high-protein diets showed significantly reduced food-seeking behavior between meals. They ate, they walked away, and they stayed away. Now, some cats develop frantic eating as a habit, especially in multi-cat homes or cats with stressful histories. Wet food helps, but pairing it with a slow feeder or puzzle bowl takes it further. It slows the pace and taps into their natural foraging instinct. Both working together is when you really start to see the shift. Calmer around meals, less guarding, less desperation. The chaos just quietly fades. 5. Something changes in how they feel around you. This one surprises most people because it doesn't seem connected to food at all, but it is. When a cat's body is consistently nourished, when their hydration is stable, their digestion is smooth, their hunger is actually satisfied, their stress levels drop. And when stress drops, something opens up. They become more present, more affectionate, more willing to just exist near you without that low-level tension running underneath everything. Cats that are chronically underhydrated or nutritionally stressed carry that discomfort quietly. You'd never see it directly, but it sits in the background. It makes them more irritable, more withdrawn, more prone to hiding. Daily wet food removes a layer of physical stress most owners didn't even know was there. And what fills that space is something that feels a lot like your cat finally relaxing into their life with you. 6. The one risk most people completely overlook. So if wet food does all of this, why would there be any downside? This is the part I mentioned at the start. The one that quietly backfires if you're not paying attention. Most owners open the can, fill the bowl, and move on with their day. And if their cat grazes, comes back an hour later, 2 hours later, that feels fine, normal even. But wet food doesn't behave like kibble. The moment it sits at room temperature, bacteria start multiplying. And depending on how warm your home runs, that window can close in as little as an hour. Your cat might go back to a bowl that looks exactly the same, smells the same to you, but bacterial growth doesn't announce itself. There's no visible sign, no obvious smell. It just happens. The rule is simple. Never leave wet food out longer than 2 hours. If they haven't finished it, remove it. Any unused portion from the can goes straight into the fridge, covered, and needs to be used within 48 hours. One more thing. Cold, wet food straight from the fridge isn't ideal either. Cats are drawn to food at body temperature because it mimics fresh prey. A few seconds in the microwave or a splash of warm water makes a real difference in whether they'll eat it at all. This isn't a reason to avoid wet food. Everything we covered today still holds. But the difference between wet food, helping your cat, and quietly causing problems comes down entirely to how you handle it after the can is open. Get that part right, and you're giving your cat exactly what their body was built for, every single day.